Good morning, friends. Welcome to the lecture of functional analysis. In this last lecture, we have seen the concept of equivalent norms. If the two norms, say norm 1 and norm 2, are defined on a same linear space, then these two norms are said to be equivalent if they generate same topology on the given linear space. Actually, we know that every norm is a metric space and every metric generates one topology. In this regard, every norm generates one topology, and if the topology generated by the two norms are same, then we can say that the two norms are equivalent to one another. Also, we have seen some important theorems and concepts also. Let me just recall those concepts. Let me share my screen. Yes, we have seen that the theorem that if I define two norms, say norm 1 and norm 2 on any linear space X, then these two norms are equivalent if and only if. We will denote the symbol for equivalence with this. Therefore, norm 1 and norm 2 are norm 1 is equivalent to norm 2 if and only if there exist two positive constants, say small m and capital M, such that m norm 1 of x less than or equals to norm 2 of x less than or equals to capital M into norm 1 of x. Okay. Similarly, we can write this inequality in reverse manner also. That is, m norm 2 of x less than or equals to norm 1 of x less than or equals to capital M into norm 1 of x. Okay, this is an important theorem we have with us. Similarly, apart from this, we have seen many characteristics also. The first characteristic we have seen is if the two norms are equivalent, say norm 1 is equivalent to norm 2, then if x norm 1 is a Banach space, then we can say that x norm 2 is also a Banach space. X norm 2 is also a Banach space. Suppose we have a sequence xn which is Cauchy in norm 1, then we also know that this is Cauchy in second norm. Similarly, if this sequence xn is a convergent sequence with respect to one norm linear space, then this is convergent with respect to another norm space also. Similarly, if we have a subset A of x, then if A is bounded with respect to norm 1, then it is also bounded with respect to norm 2. These are some of the characteristics we have seen in the last lecture. Now in today's lecture, we will go for the example. Before example, we will write one important corollary which we have seen. We will just recall the corollary. The corollary says that two norms are equivalent. Two norms are equivalent if and only if convergence in norm 1 implies and implied by convergence in norm 2. Convergence in norm 2. That is, if we have one sequence which is convergent with respect to norm 1, then it is implies and implied by it is convergent with respect to norm 2. We have seen the first part that if the norms are equivalent, then convergence in norm 1 implies and implied by convergence in norm 2. The reverse part of the proof is obviously true. Therefore, we will not go in detail. We will go for an example. Okay. Today we will deal with one example. The example says that we have suppose two norms, say x with norm x as a norm defined on x, and another norm linear space, say y, where norm y is the norm defined on the given space over the given linear spaces. Okay, and T be a mapping from x to y and is topological isomorphism. The mapping T is topological isomorphism. Then we will define another norm. What is the another norm defined? Say norm x is the another norm defined on the space x, which is defined as norm y of T of x. This is true for all x in x. Okay. Similarly, Okay, after this we will try to prove that this norm, what we want to prove is, we want to prove that this norm defines a norm, defines a norm on X, norm on X. Okay, and this norm is equivalent to norm X. And second part of the proof, we will define another norm, say norm dash of X, which is norm T inverse of Y, norm X of T inverse of Y, and it is true for all Y in capital Y. It is true for all Y in capital Y. Then we want to prove that this norm dash also defines a norm, also defines a norm on capital Y, and we should prove that this norm dash is equivalent to norm Y. Okay, first we will try to understand the meaning of all the statements, right? Here we have two different spaces, say X, where a mapping T is defined from X to say Y. Okay, there is one norm already we have, that is norm X. Here is also we have another norm, say norm Y. On this space X, new norm is defined as norm, and here the norm is defined as norm dash. Our aim is to prove that this new norm defined is also norm and is equivalent to the original norm, say norm X. Similarly, on the right, norm dash is a norm defined on Y, and we have to prove that these two norms are equivalent. Let us have a look to the norm defined, norm X. This norm X is defined as norm Y of T of X. We will try to understand the meaning first. Okay, suppose here is a vector X in X. This is actually defined for all the elements X in X, no? Therefore, let us have somewhere here is the vector X and somewhere here is the origin. Again, for the sake of convenience, we are showing norm as the shortest distance obtained by straight line between the two vectors, right? Then what is norm X? This is the norm X. But now, what is the new norm defined? New norm is defined as norm Y. How the norm Y, new norm is defined? This is norm Y of T of X. But we know thoroughly that norm Y is the norm defined on the Y space. And for any vector X in X, where will be the T image? Somewhere here will be the T image. Okay. Let me change the color so that there will be the clear line. Okay. This is my T of X, right? Okay, somewhere here is the origin, say 0 dash, right? Then what is the distance between the two vectors? This distance is obtained by this norm Y of X. Okay, therefore the new norm, which is actually a distance of a vector X from the origin, is now defined as the distance of a vector T of X in the norm linear space Y, and which is being calculated with the help of norm Y. Okay, therefore we will go to prove the example. In the first step, what we want to prove? What we want to prove that this norm is a norm on X. Is a norm on X. This is we want to prove actually, right? Okay. Now, if I want to prove that this is a norm on the linear space X, how many things we should verify? Easily, one can say that there are 4 conditions to verify. We will go for the conditions one by one. What is the first condition to prove that norm X is greater or equal by 0? Norm X is greater or equal by 0. Okay. Now, the new norm we know what is defined by with the help of norm Y, but already norm Y is a norm defined on the linear space X, right? Therefore, the first condition we want to prove is norm X is greater or equal by 0. Okay, but what we know that norm X is defined as norm Y of T of X. Okay, but this norm Y is a norm on Y. This we know already. If it is already no norm, therefore may I say this is greater or equal by 0. This is non-negative. Therefore, the first condition is easily proved. Okay, we will go for proving the second condition. What is the second condition? Let me change the color. Okay. What is the second condition? The second condition to prove that norm x is equal to 0 if and only if x is equal to 0. Okay, let us start. Okay, consider norm x is equal to 0, but we know by the definition this is nothing but norm y of t of x, which is equal to 0. Okay, but already norm y is a norm, we have discussed. This is already a norm. Therefore, according to the second condition of norm y, may I say this is true only if t of x is equal to 0, as the statement is true for all x in x. Therefore, there is no possibility to have a vector x is equal to 0. As it is true for all x in x is equal to 0, we can write this is x is equal to 0. Okay. Therefore, we got the second result also. Now, we will go for the third. What is the third one we will try to prove? What is the third to prove? To prove that norm of x plus y is less equal by norm x plus norm of y. Right? To prove the result, let us start with norm of x plus y. According to the definition, we should take a t image. Therefore, this is t of x plus y in norm y. Right? Now, norm y is already norm we have discussed. Therefore, according to, okay, before that, let me use linearity property. What linearity says? This is tx plus ty. Now, I will use the condition of norm. According to the third condition of norm, may I write this is less equal by norm y of t of x plus norm y of t of y. Okay. And if we look at the definition, norm y of t of x will be nothing but norm of x. Norm y of t of y is nothing but norm of y. Therefore, the third condition is also satisfied. Now we will go to prove the fourth condition. What is the fourth condition to prove? The fourth condition to prove that is norm of alpha x is equal to mod alpha into norm of x. Again, let me start to prove the result. Norm of alpha x. According to the definition, this is norm y of t of alpha x. This is norm y of t of alpha x. Knowing t linear, let me write this as alpha times t of x. Norm y of alpha times t of x. Again, as norm y is a norm defined, according to the fourth condition, this scalar can be taken out with the modulus. Therefore, this is mod alpha into norm y of t of x. Mod alpha into norm y of t of x. Therefore, this is mod alpha into norm of x. Therefore, the fourth condition is also satisfies. Therefore, one can say that this norm is a norm. This norm is a norm on x. Okay. Now we will go for step 2. What we should prove in step 2? These two norms are same. That is, norm is equivalent to norm x. Norm is equivalent to norm x. Right? To prove this, which condition we will try to prove? We will try to prove that we will try to find out some two constants, small m and capital M, such that m norm of x is less than or equals to norm of x less than or equals to capital M into norm x of x. Or it may be reverse also. These norm may be interchange. Okay, what are the given things to us? What are the given things? Let me change the color of my pen. Yes. What are the given things to us? T is topological isomorphism. This is given in the example itself. T is the topological isomorphism. If T is a topological isomorphism, how many properties going to possess? This is linear, 1, 1, and T inverse are continuous. T inverse are continuous. Now, as T is linear, T is continuous, will give us T is bounded. Will give us T is bounded. Now, as T is linear, it is 1, 1, inverse exists and is also linear. Therefore, T inverse is linear and is continuous. Therefore, may I say T inverse is also bounded. Therefore, we have both the mappings T and T inverse are bounded. Now, we'll go for producing that kind of inequality. Okay, now as we know that T is bounded, therefore may I write by definition norm y of T of x is less equal by norm T into norm x of x, and is true for all x in x. Just we have made use of the definition T is bounded. Okay, now similarly let me try to make use of the mapping T inverse is bounded. T is a mapping we are defining from x to y. Therefore what about T inverse? T inverse is a mapping from y to x. Therefore we will define this for all y in y. How can I write this? Norm T inverse of y, norm x of T inverse of y is less equal by norm T inverse into norm y of y, and is true for all y in y. One should try to understand this concept. If I start with x in x, corresponding image T of x will be an element of y. Similarly, if I start with an element for the mapping inverse T inverse, if I start with an element y in y, what will be the image? The image under T inverse will be T inverse y, and it will be an element of x. And we know on x the norm x is working. Therefore, we have written the two statements, right? Now we will consider norm x, so that we can try to construct that kind of inequality, right? According to the definition, norm x is defined as norm y of T of x. Norm y of T of x, and just now we have written norm y of T of x is less equal by norm T into norm x of x, norm T into norm x of x. Therefore, may I write norm x is less equal by norm T into norm x of x. Let me call it as some equation number 1. Right. Now we will start with this norm x. Therefore, we will write norm x of x is equal to, okay, may I write this as T inverse of T of x, and which is the norm acting? X is the norm acting, right? Only we have written this x as T inverse of T of x. As T inverse is the inverse mapping, T inverse of T will give us the same element. Therefore, the image we will have is norm of T inverse of T of x. Okay, according to the second inequality, how can I write this as? This is less equal by norm T inverse into norm y of T of x. This inequality I am using, let me call it as some star. Here from star I am writing. Okay, from star, right? But we know this norm y of T of x is nothing but a new norm defined, that is norm x. This is norm x. Okay. Therefore, we have obtained the inequality norm x of x is less equal by norm T inverse into norm of x. Let me just rewrite the inequality as norm x of x upon norm of T inverse is less than or equals to norm of x. Okay, norm of x. Now let me call this as inequality number 2. Okay, combine both the inequalities, inequality number 1 and inequality number 2. Norm x upon norm T inverse is less equal by norm of x, and norm of x is less equal by this. Therefore, combining both the inequalities, what one can write? Okay, which two inequalities I am going to combine? This one and this one. And what can I write? I can write as norm x upon x upon norm T inverse is less equal by norm of x, and norm of x is less equal by, with this inequality number 1, this is less than or equals to norm T upon norm x of x. Norm T into norm x of x. Therefore, if I call both these positive values as some small element capital M, what can I write? This is M norm x of x is less equal by norm of x is less equal by, say, capital M norm x of x. Okay, therefore what are my constants? Small m is 1 upon norm t inverse and capital M is norm of t. Therefore here with this inequality one can very easily say that norm is equivalent to norm x. Okay, therefore both the parts we have proved that new norm is defined is a norm and is equivalent to the original norm, that is norm x. Okay, similarly one can go for the second part of the proof. Okay, by defining, you may try this. Norm dash is the new norm defined on y and is equal to norm t inverse of norm x of t inverse of y. Easily one can define norm dash is a norm on y and this is equivalent to norm y also. Okay, just try for this the second part of the example. Okay, now we will go for the next example. In this next example, we are going to prove that the all norms defined on the LPN spaces are equivalent. Okay, let me just change my page. Here we go. We will go for a second example of today's lecture. Okay, this is second example we were discussing. The example is if n is a positive integer, n is a positive integer, what LPN denotes? LPN represents different norm linear spaces, for different values of p, for different values of p. Different values of p on same set of real numbers, on same set of real numbers. Okay, and the norm defined is norm p of x is equal to summation mod xi raised to p. No doubt summation 1 I is running from 1 to n and is raised to 1 by p. Raised to 1 by p. For 1 less than or equals to p, strictly less than infinity. Then show that all the norms, all these norms are equivalent to each other. All the norms are equivalent to one another. Okay, to prove this result again, we will make use of that corollary. What corollary says that two norms are equivalent. Two norms are equivalent if and only if convergence in norm 1 implies and implied by convergence in norm 2. Okay, now here we want to prove that all the norms are equivalent. Now here p takes infinite values. Okay, therefore if I want to prove any two norms of this are equivalent, what we will do? We will select two arbitrary values, say p and q. Okay, therefore the corresponding norms defined will be norm p and norm q. How the norms are defined? Let me write the definition as well. Norm p of x will be defined as summation I from 1 to n mod xi raised to p whole thing raised to 1 by p. Similarly, how that norm q will be defined? Norm q of x is summation I from 1 to n mod xi raised to q raised to 1 by q. And we'll, by taking these two norms as an arbitrary norms, we will just try to prove that norm p is equivalent to norm q. And once we prove that, one can say that any two norms defined on this LPN spaces are equivalent. Okay, for this, as I told you already, we are going to make use of this corollary. Two norms are equivalent if and only if convergence in norm 1 implies and implied by convergence in norm 2. Implies and implied by convergence in norm 2. Therefore, what we should start with? We should start with one sequence which is convergent with respect to one of the norm, and we will prove that the same sequence will be convergent with respect to the another norm. Okay. Therefore, for this, what we will do? We will select a sequence. Okay. Say here I will write a sequence, say XR. Okay. Be a sequence. Be a sequence, say converges to X. Converges to X. As all these are the elements in LPN spaces, that means these are n-tuple vector. Therefore, let me write down the coordinate of this vector XR. The coordinates we will write is x1r is the first coordinate, x2r is the second coordinate. Similarly, say x and r be the nth coordinate of a vector XR. Similarly, we will write the limit point within its coordinates. Therefore, let me write the coordinates as say x1, x2 up to xn. Okay. Therefore, what is given to us? XR converges to X. No doubt, as R tends to infinity, and I will assume this is in pth norm. I will assume this is in pth norm. Let me recall you again, whatever this norm we have defined, we have already proved that this is working as a norm on LPN spaces, and also we have proved the completeness of the LPN spaces with respect to these norms. Okay. Now, as I am assuming that the sequence is convergent with respect to pth norm. Now, our aim is to prove that the same sequence will converge with respect to qth norm also. Okay. First of all, we will try to prove that whatever the sequence XR we have assumed, where this sequence is going to converge coordinate wise. That is coordinate wise converge. Therefore, first we shall show that convergence, this converges with respect to each norm is equivalent to coordinate convergence. Coordinate wise convergence. Okay, let me write the definition now. As the sequence XR converges to X as R tends to infinity in pth norm. Therefore, may I write for given epsilon greater than 0, here we will select epsilon between 0 to 1. There exists a stage R0 such that, what such that? Norm P of XR minus X. Norm P of XR minus X is less than epsilon for all R greater equal by R0. Okay, now let me use the norm P definition here. What is norm P definition? This we can write as summation. What will be the ith coordinate of XR minus X? Ith coordinate of XR minus X will be XIR minus XI. Fine. And the definition is summation I from 1 to P mod XIR minus XI raised to P raised to 1 by P is less than epsilon. We have just made use of the definition. Okay. Now taking pth powers on both the sides, what I will get? Summation I from 1 to, it is not P, this is I from 1 to N. 1 to N mod XIR minus XI raised to P less than epsilon raised to P less than epsilon. Why? Because I have taken epsilon less than 1. Okay. Next, look at the sum. Summation value of XIR minus XI, where every term is non-negative, is less than by epsilon. Sum of non-negative terms is less than by epsilon. Therefore, we can say surely that every term XIR minus XI raised to P is less than epsilon. Therefore, if I take pth powers on both the sides, again, we can write that this is XIR minus XI less than epsilon raised to 1 by P, that is less than epsilon still. Okay, because epsilon is the selected value is less than 1 for all R greater equal by R naught. Okay, thus what we have shown, XR tends to X in norm P implies mod XIR minus XI less than epsilon, less than epsilon, that is XIR tends to XI. Here we get this is coordinate wise conversion for fixed I, right? This is for fixed I. Therefore, here let me write this as equation number say 1. Now look at this equation number 1. Equation number 1 is independent of P. Equation number 1 is independent of P. There is no P involved in equation number 1. Therefore, from 1, we'll just reverse all the steps, and may I say the same statement will hold for Q as well. That is summation I from 1 to n mod XIR minus XI raised to Q raised to 1 by Q is strictly less than epsilon, because this term is independent of P. Therefore, this will be equally true for Q. Therefore, this we can write with the help of Q as well, which is nothing but XR tends to X in norm Q, which is what a required statement to us. Therefore, we have started with the sequence XR tends to X or converges to X in norm P, and we have proved that the sequence XR converges to X in norm Q. We can interchange the positions of P and Q to say that XR converges to X in norm Q implies XR converges to X in norm P. That is, we have shown that XR converges to X implies in norm P if and only if XR tends to X in norm Q, and according to the corollary, norm P will be equivalent to norm Q. Therefore, as P and Q are arbitrary values, therefore one can say that any two norms are equivalent. Therefore, one can say that all norms are equivalent. All norms are equivalent in LPN spaces. Okay, this is here we end up with the second example, which is dependent on equivalent norms. I hope you have understood both the examples. Thank you for watching today's lecture. Thank you all.